the brilliance of the ultimate bonding experience, or the Ubistrat, as the agents are ready to slay. Here comes Blacklist International!
With every possible MLBB accolade under their belts, they only need one more trophy to complete the crown.
The Queen and the agents are not going to stop until they achieve their goal.
If you are feeling the heat, it might be from the Turkish representatives all ready to go. Let's welcome Firefox Impunity!
Despite facing a couple of hurdles, FIMP overcame and conquered them.
Led by the reliable Apex 47, they're pumped to be unleashed.
Now we introduce the masterminds of both teams. Coach Master the Basics with Dexter as the analyst and Coach Battle Seth and Osprey as the analyst alongside our head marshal to referee this match.
Oh man, it's really going to be an interesting battle here for both of these teams, especially considering how solid Blacklist International have been in the MSC stage. Meanwhile, for FIMP, how inconsistent they've been. They've been going for more dynamic drafts, so maybe that might just be the reason.
More like this could be the moment where FIMP, from what used to be your idols, now your competitors, they could look to try and break the code because they are the ones who studied it the most.
But, I mean, let's be honest here. At least for myself, I feel that Blacklist International, they have went through so much. This squad of Wise, Edward, and Oh My Venus, they have went through so much with the addition of Yue as well as Owl. They're just gonna have to bend their ways a little bit and play within the same win conditions, and they are very likely gonna be one of the best in MSC 2023.
Gentlemen, much has been said about the players of Blacklist International, Owl, Wise, Edward, Yu, and Oh My Venus, but there's not much about their coaching staff. So maybe let's pick a Manjin's brain here because you were able to talk to MTB and Dexter.
Yeah.
Maybe later on, as I think that we will be looking at Fireflux Impunity with Sunshine, Kazue, Alien, Kira, and Apex. Yeah, MTB and Dexter. What will be their contribution to the team?
Yeah, so back in the Philippines, I was talking to Dexter because we had a show match project, right?
Yeah.
And he told me that the other teams, they need to be ready for Blacklist.
Yeah.
Because they reserved a lot and they learned a lot back then in the Philippines after the grand finals.
Yeah.
They reserved a lot of their pocket strategies.
Wow.
And we've seen those type of heroes.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen the Minotaur and we also seen, I think, the Novaria for the squad.
Yeah, and now talking about Fireflux Impunity, the lone survivor of the non-sea regions. They are the hope of the Westerners to be successful here in MSC. Do you think that they can do the unthinkable against the agents?
I definitely think that they have an opportunity to take maybe a couple of games here, but at the end of the day, the meta is favoring teams who know how to play their team fights, who know how to go above and beyond. The outplays, like we saw in our first best of 5 in the knockout stage.
After all of the games that we've seen so far from FIMP in the first 4 days, I think it is relatively safe that FIMP, they do have a very good idea. And although now Kira, they kind of like mix up a little bit, right? Sometimes Kira is mid, or rather sometimes Kira is jungle, Kazu is jungle. It gets very difficult to predict.
Yeah. Now the best in the MSC roles, you can see Diablo already in the XP lane. You already know that he performed so well. And there's Seacat, the mid lane, and Benny Cutie. But Oh My Venus and Wise, look at the stats of these two players, and it's just perfect that Manjin is here with us. What can you say about the royal duo?
Yeah, been there since the beginning of their journey. Ever since they went to Season 4 MPL, they've been dominating the league. And who knows, they might go to another grand finals because the stakes are high for this team.
Yeah, and I can fairly remember the first time Oh My Venus and Wise went in an international stage. Gideon and Manjin, you were there. We were all there. Right?
We were all there, literally watching the Queen's Gambit take its place. And it was only in its infancy, you know? Those moments of like, wow, there are brilliant moments, but it hasn't gotten there just yet until today where we see the full arsenal laid out before us.
Okay, sure. All right, you guys have been at M1.
Inciting the FOMO within us.
I'm sorry, I might have to leave you out of this one, Abstract, because I'm going to bring up like M3. I was there when they won it all. So I'm sorry.
All right. Well, maybe there's something that Abstract can witness today. One thing that we did witness in the group stage is Minotaur, Diggy, and Faramis, these support heroes. Gentlemen, how do you think, why does this work? basically.
It pretty much all encompasses on the fact that they just want to stick together as one entire team. There is a good amount of sustainability all around, and this is the thing. I always held that Oh My Venus is pretty much the main mastermind of the entire team, right?
Okay.
When Venus calls for something, everyone reacts to it. Everyone moves on, and they don't even try to deny, or they don't even try to challenge for it.
I think that could be a double-edged sword, though, because we've seen many teams able to adapt to the style. Sure, at first, Venus and the team's coordination, that's really what made Blacklist International special. That coordination, and obviously, I would just say, again, the mastermind, making these crazy calls split second. Thing is, though, teams like Echo have been able to dissect this because they're so formulaic, because it all relies on Venus. Once you put pressure on Venus, once you split that up, we have seen that be the weakness as well for Blacklist.
There was a time in the previous MPL Philippines where there was a lot of criticism on Oh My Venus because he stuck with the same amount of heroes, same pool of heroes. But now with the Minotaur up there, this was a big news, by the way, the Philippines. And maybe Manjit can tell us a little bit more story about this.
And I feel it's perfect. it's perfect for the Queen.
Really?
You know why?
The
You know why?
Minotaur.
Because it also has a heal.
Oh, okay.
That's what Lafel said too.
Right?
Is it as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. I also have a heal. Then I have a CC. And let's do it.
Gentlemen, were you ever that impressed about the Minotaur that you saw from the group stages?
Well, the way that I see it, the fact is, at least with Enchanter-style supports, it doesn't feel as big plays, right? We're talking about insurance policies. That's something that all the heroes that we've seen from Oh My Venus have kind of encompassed, right? Insurance policies, AOECCs, if not temp HP. And then we go back to Apex 47. Playmaker in his own right with the Franco.
When I'm looking at Blacklist International, or rather when I'm looking at Oh My Venus, the first few things that come to my mind is just sustainability, romance, and all that kind of stuff. Until I did my homework and I look at Lolita, it's a lot more defensive based. There are definitely a lot of romance that can do multiple styles, but Oh My Venus really masters on the defensive style, and having a Minotaur part of this pretty much is perfect for Venus.
Okay.
Everybody just voted for Blacklist International. But I don't see Manjin here.
Except for me.
I don't see. All right, so Manjin, you already revealed that you were thinking that FIMP can take the game if it's a game 5.
Yes.
Is this still the real Manjin speaking?
It's still me.
Will the real Manjin please step up?
Okay, it's Manjin. It's Manjin right now that they're talking. You're talking to.
All right, so who do you think's gonna win?
FIMP will win if they're not overwhelmed. Because this is their dream to match up against Blacklist. They just need to play their game. They just need to be confident in their play.
I know
just
this.
don't be overwhelmed.
This is the Lodi syndrome.
It's
Or
the Lodi
idol
syndrome.
Si idol pala to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's the
Well
phrase.
done.
That's the phrase. That's the phrase.
When you meet up against your idols, you get overwhelmed and you don't play good. So do you think that if they overcome that, they will win?
I think so, because we could see a lot of surprises. First of all, they are not afraid of Echo.
Yeah,
Right.
Alien is not. Alien said that he wasn't afraid of
he's not
Echo.
afraid of Echo. So it means
God.
they're also not afraid of Blacklist, especially Bad Girl Sep. I remember Bad Girl Sep was with us back in M4.
Yeah, M4.
And he told us that we were watching Todak's game back then. And
Okay.
Todak were losing.
Be careful what you're saying.
I know,
by the
I
way.
know. I'm a big fan of Todak. I know.
Okay.
I know. And Todak were losing. And she is confident. He told us that if they were in the position of Todak, they will win. So that's how confident she is. I'm sipping for FIMP, bro.
Manjin a sip for FIMP as we head into the draft. Game number 1 of this best of 5 knockout series. Gentlemen, what can we expect as the bans and the first few picks of the game?
Surprisingly enough, I think some of the bans and picks are going to look very similar for both sides.
Exactly. Most of the time, we are definitely expecting to see the other teams will want to target ban onto Oh My Venus, always hitting onto the S-Dash, hitting on the DK. But this time, what we're looking out for is the very generic bans from Blacklist International, where they always take out the Kaja and the Franco.
Those are the two main heroes that can actually say something with this Ube. But honestly, for Blacklist International, we've seen this, I think, 3 games in a row up against Todak. Fredrin being heavily prioritized. And with, Wise playing the Psycho Fredrin, as now we're
Psycho
calling
Fredrin.
him, I think it might just be a very good pick. It's pretty flex as well for them.
Yeah. Manji, what do you wanna see from Blacklist International overall?
I think they can reserve the DK.
Oh,
Okay.
no, never mind.
Speaking of the devil,
Well done.
Wow.
Well done.
It's the devil's egg, bro.
Talk about negative synergy here.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. FIMP. How do you deal with this? What do you think have they prepared?
Personally, I think maybe FIMP might have taken a couple of pointers here. Wow, 103% pick and ban rate. That's a number I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
But I was considering maybe as their final pick of the first phase, potentially looking at the Claude. It's one of the few heroes that has actually taken a game off of Blacklist International.
That's right. But there's a big straight up chance that Blacklist might pick it up since they're facing Eve and Glue.
Yeah.
That could be a potential. But yeah, what else do you think the Blacklist International will answer this time?
There is a very high chance that they will want to answer high ground to high ground, getting a Fasa into their mix. In the meantime, getting a couple, probably just prioritizing a pick for Owl. Someone that can really hold on to the fight a little bit longer.
I mean, we're already getting the Fredrin as well as the Valentina. If we're talking about getting a high ground alt like Eve, might as well just copy it, but still scale even harder.
Okay, there's the Fredrin. This is pretty much a standard Blacklist draft, especially with US special Valentina. Weiss has yet to lose a single Turbo Lord Retribution battle yet.
Really?
Wow.
Wait.
On the Fredrin.
That's a stat that we weren't aware of.
Well, I don't think it's on the Fredrin. Yeah. I think generally, as jungler, no one beat Weiss on the Retribution battles.
That's even crazier then. I mean, people are calling him King of the Jungle as we know him as Psycho Fredrin with how much he just runs down. Literally, some Dio energy, walk up to me and I'll take you out. But we're seeing that also the FIMP are trying to make sure that they can look for that one shot. We're not talking about CC, we're talking about just raw damage. And I think that the Amon in these positions can be a little awkward, especially in knowing how assassin matchups in the jungle deal against tank matchups.
Personally love the AA Mon here for sure because it has a lot of burst. The AA Mon, and now the Joy has been banned out. Typically people will look into the V-Wise duo, the tandem, but sometimes they look at Edward. Abstract, how do you feel about the draft so far?
Honestly, one thing that I really like about seeing teams going up against Blacklist International is that they know that Oh My Venus can't play super aggressive all the way in the early stages of the game, right? When you pick up an assassin jungler, you would expect the opponents to go for Hilda, for example, right? Super aggressive right off the bat. And then FIMP knows that this is not going to be an option. Picking up an Amon right here, it may very well be one of the best answers to deal with this Diggy.
No? Isn't it far too early to pick up the AA Mon, however?
Yeah, I personally think that is showing it really early on might be a mistake.
I think it's not a mistake, especially for FIMP, because they have shown it in the group stages. Now, if this was hidden from everybody in the group stages, sure. The thing is, they have picked it up, and they know, Blacklist knows that Amon is one of the comfort picks from Cura, because you also saw this back in M4.
That's right.
So, I am looking at FIMP. I really, really like the drafts in the second phase coming out from them, right? They are really just trying to nail Edward down. And I think this has been one of the key ways, main win conditions from Echo as to how they beat them in MPLPH Grand Finals.
Good thing that you pointed it out because that's what we saw with the bans. And I think imagine, you know this, targeting Edward might have been the way to go for teams to defeat Blacklist.
They need to shut down Agent Zero, I think, so that Blacklist cannot pop it up or that's what you call him, right?
Yeah.
Because he brings the aggression in the team.
I think targeting onto Edward is definitely one of the best ways, but also one of the most difficult ways, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Edward has such a wide hero pool. Right off the bat, I'm looking at Joy and Benedetta. It all makes sense. In the meantime, I'm also looking at Lapu Lapu. I'm also looking at Yu Zhong, both of which are such perfect play for Blacklist International to really come up to deal with this Eve.
I mean, they're trying to make sure that they don't exactly have the easiest backline access, right? At least trying to make a decent matchup. Like, where they're banning out Benedetta. If they were really worried about reliable backline access, they get rid of the Yu Zhong. They just want to slow them down. If it's about Blacklist International, it's about coordinated team play. 5v5s, as a matter of fact. Now, we're seeing that the Lapu Lapu is getting chosen here. I'm curious to see what marksman Owl wants to play. Carry looks good, but there's still an assassin. Brody, wow, really wants to win that lane.
Pretty much comfort, huh?
Yeah. The thing is, this is a skill matchup, though. Brody versus Beatrix isn't, black and white here, especially for the Beatrix right now. The fact that the Brody has kind of been nerfed, not because the Brody's been nerfed, but because some of the items, defensive items, has been buffed, especially with the steel leg plates becoming just the norm now in the gold lane. Brody certainly loses a lot of kill pressure.
I think FIMP, they need someone to set up for the Beatrix.
ultimate answer.
Is this a setup that you need?
Okay, this,
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Okay.
this is kind
leave it
of
at that.
like whole tactic going on right now.
I saw Gideon. Gideon's reaction was like, Diggy
Hilda.
and Hilda. So many teams have tried Hilda against Diggy of Blacklist International. Not everything worked. We see the audience prediction.
Bleeding red.
It's bleeding red. Blacklist International favored in this. And
Turkey.
Oh,
FIMP, 88%, as expected. The draft has been laid out. You know, let's ask Manjin one last time when it comes to the draft. Many teams have tried. Hilda versus Diggy against Blacklist International. Didn't work. Do you think that this will be a game that FIMP can win?
This is so risky. I think the aim on third pick is a risky pick.
Okay.
But they want to secure it. But I don't trust the Hilda. It
Okay.
failed back in the group stages.
Yeah.
So I think we all know the script already. Blacklist will win, but I'm simping for FIMP, bro.
Okay, very well. Abstract, take it away.
ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way in to the land of dawn, who's the one that will come up early? Is it gonna be the Ube team, or would it be the aggressive Turkey?
Well, let's see how this early game actually goes out. I mean, if UA ends up dying here, that's probably going to be a very clear victory towards Blacklist International. But knowing how, to FIMP. But generally speaking, the way that we should be looking at this is especially when it comes down to these neutral objectives, right? Hilda is not really going to participate in the majority of these team fights, but is then looking for information, trying to make sure that Blacklist International, especially for their mid laner UA, to continuously be pulled to a different direction.
I mean, when we are looking at Edward, he is the master of his lane. The least amount of death amongst all the players. And I gotta have to say, Edward, he knows exactly what he's looking out for. In this current lane matchup, he doesn't really want to go to all-out aggressive against the Gloom, but really just all about the lane priority and wanting to get back with his entire team.
Yeah, actually, speaking of which, I mean, I'm getting a lot of flashbacks from that Todak against Echo matchup and, Blacklist matchup. And honestly, when I see this Hilda into the Diggy, and especially with Oh My Venus playing on that impure range, you know that the Queen just wants the stack.
Okay, well, right now there's a taunt already. Wise gonna be able to dish some damage out right there, but Endless Shards actually connects onto Edward, who just soaks it in. No damage, just practically tickles him. As both teams just disengage, not wanting to go for a skirmish, but just as I say it, Alien's gonna be engaged on Alien, jumping back with the slam, pass, but Alien's gonna be stunned up in the Bravest Fighter. The Appraise is cracked as well. First blood for Edward. Kura, terrified up, trying to run away as Apex 47 tries his best to distract, to get him out of there right now, but he's gonna be chain CC by the Fredrin. The sprint is not ready, and it's gonna be Blacklist International with a clean 2-0 start.
Now, this is when we talk about lane matchup, especially micro. The fact is that Edward was already level 4, and unfortunately, Blue was not in that same position. If you had the split, maybe something else, the occurrence could have been a little different, but the fact that they got 2 of those kills so early on, and a free neutral objective, that's going to be an early goal for Blacklist International to start pressing the advantage against some of the stronger lanes.
Kira didn't even have his ultimate for that fight, unfortunately due to the fact that the Lapu pretty much quote-unquote baited it out and managing to dash out of the way right before the final shot hits it. So honestly, Kira not exactly very good for that fight.
You can already see as well here, Wise trying to go for it. That's a red drink by Kura to secure it. The over manipulation and Endless Shards locks Wise down. The mobility fuel is right there, but the time journey locks him, gives him some space to escape. Wise is gonna fall. Kazoo picks up the kills. Alien rotates all around, but he's gonna be killed here by the Bravest Fighter. A Terrify as well, but Alien almost gets out just barely by Yue. Brilliant micro mechanics.
Great job from UA. I think he needed to make sure that that kill went back. If not, that lane would have been very, very skewed. And also, it allows him to kind of recover a little bit of that early game damage. Regardless, at the end of the day, when we're looking at the items, and more importantly, when we're starting looking at the emblems at this stage of the game, we hope that Kura is able to scale super fast. Because eventually, Wise is going to be able to get Radiant Armors, able to get Twilight Armors even. Oh, a quick steal!
FIMP is still sticking over to their MO. With this lineup, they can afford to be playing very aggressively. Despite losing in it, or rather despite only having a 2-kill deficit, they still want to occupy the opponent's base as much as possible. They still want to inhibit the control of Wise as the main frontliner.
Especially the fact that they were able to burn a battle spell, a very important one at that as well. Venus, the way he was able to utilize this Diggy up against Todak was getting in the right places at the right time with the flicker. Now, Turtle's gonna be spawning in that Flicker is going to be on cooldown.
So the clutch is disabled on this car, but at the end of the day, Oh My Venus just has to position a little bit more dangerously, right? Alien's totally fine. He's come to a point in the game where it's not... Whoa!
Wow, Kira even doesn't deal enough damage to take Venus down. Time Journey pop, the shielding is enough to get him out of there. As Kira tries his best to start this turtle. Retribution not available for Wise, but it is for Kira. But it seems like Fireflux and Impunity do not have that right now. Apex 47 is hunting Venus down. But it's going to be locked down. Forced to use the sprint. It might just be a free kill over. And it will. The time bomb, the alarm bomb in the bush. This finds the kill back, and it's Blacklist once again with that lead.
I mean, I respect that. You know, Apex 47 wanted to go super aggressive, and we talked about the fact that Apex 47 is not afraid. In fact, the whole entire FIMP seems like they're not afraid.
And the charge, you may need to be afraid as Edward jumps in on their turret. Kira is able to utilize the invisibility. But here, Wise will pick up that retribution onto the turtle. Neutral objectives so far going all the way to Blacklist International.
Kira's got to be real careful there. He should not have lived that at all. The fact that he went back in to greet out one auto attack nearly costed him his life. I think that's going to stick with him for now. In terms of item power spike, we are seeing the Dominance Ice as well as the Ice Queen Swan coming out of the Causeway. So it's going to help him really start chasing. But again, we're looking for that opening from FIMP.
I think there's a very fine line between, you know, respecting the opponents and being aggressive, right? Because FIMP, I don't know where they are threading right now. They would want to squeeze a little bit of hits in. They would want to really overextend themselves, but somehow they're not exactly punished.
Oh, Kira is being punished though. While you say that, Edward and Wise were able to just invade in the jungle. Now Apex 47, he might be a Hilda, but with those stacks in, Owl might just be able to slay him without the torn apart memory. That's a lot of damage from the Brody in the 5th minute of the game. Completely snowballing, 7-1.
Yeah, they knew this rotation was going to happen. They already initiated one of their own to make sure that they are on the top side of the map, but they you don't want to see this because it feels like right now, FIMP, whatever they do, they seem to almost be making the blunder, right? But Blacklist are the ones who are increasing the tempo. They are the ones, and especially with Psycho Fredrin, really pushing the pace.
The tempo is really working very well from the side of Blacklist International, right? Most, if not all of their players from their side is levels above of FIMP. There is definitely quite a disparity going on. Despite Edward just holding down to his lane, Alien and Kira still wants to go in for a proxy in order to go for a little bit of off-tempo.
And the charge as well, Edward just takes it. It does no damage to Edward in the early game all the way now. You can see the defensive items for Edward is really, really paying off.
Yep, it's coming into effect, and that's why you need to make sure. Radiant Armor is honestly a really good buy. Some people even decide to go, depending on what the composition is, but we'll see the items in just a little bit as they've already lost a topside turret. This turtle basically a non-contestion.
Pretty sure that the robe is currently available for the side of Edward. He's been tanking all of that and doesn't seem like it's much of a problem. Blacklist International, they understand that the turtle is already working towards their favor. They have the priority at that. Then, of course, jumping onto the jungle is what they want to go for.
Bravest fighter from Edward! All the way to the back, even! Kazooie! It's gonna be taken down, now the top side. That's gonna be Snipe coming down, but Owl's still able to escape into one of our memory. One more shot! Owl escapes! Blacklist are stomping on FIMP.
Not giving them any opportunity.
Wow.
Apex is gonna get canceled, and this is just brutal. Sunshine needs to run, but even then, he's stuck.
Oh, Venus there. That's gonna be Flicker. Venus Flicker is out as well. Sunshine! How did he do that? He finds a double kill. Finally, he's going to be punished by Blacklist International with Owl flickering forward. No, he just dashed in front with that torn apart memory. But man, that's a mistake that we rarely see.
That's fine. They can recover from this. Blacklist is still at a 3.8k lead.
It's an island-wide coverage. We're looking at advances in the top lane. We're looking at advances in the objective. Blacklist International is still sticking true to what they want, and that is objective games over and over again. Yes, Sunshine may have outplayed them. Yes, he's just going to do what he can. Even expanded the flicker to get the kill on the Venus. Hewitt just couldn't do much from that point.
Really unfortunate, honestly. Like, towards the end there, you can see that it's clear that everybody's cooldowns were were basically done for, and they just have to wait it out. Unfortunately, that's when you see Sunshine flickering forward to create that space and forcing at least for Yue to use his own to trade.
The siege gets too much for them though. Blacklist International are completely utilizing this Brody, and Alien is going to be stunned up, and this should be him taken down without the torn apart memory. utilizing the Brody so well in this game.
It's pretty much all of the first tier defense towers that has been taken down. Blacklist International will get full control of the river line, and the Lord will be popping out in 50 seconds. FIMP will want to reclaim this.
That's the taunt. Kazuya gonna be locked down. Doesn't have. Oh, goes for the flicker anyways, but Edward chases him down with the bravest fighter. 5.5k gold lead when Edward does this much. What are you supposed to do?
I mean, honestly, this is just a massacre, right? Every single time Cura's buffs start coming up, about to spawn Blacklist, have already pushed out the waves. They are literally 10 seconds ahead of FIMP with a lot of the motions that they're making, sometimes earlier than they're supposed to be.
Oh, Renner's apathy-wise, just being that psycho Fredrin in the front. Taunting Alien up, that's gonna be Edward with the bravest fighter. He's gonna be disintegrated. An owl in the back is gonna be slain by the assassin Cura, but the endless charge was stolen away by Yue. Now it's giving the real world manipulation. Sunshine gonna be able to dish out some damage, but Wise takes him out. Yue is looking for a maniac! Yue! He got it! A maniac! A savage is waiting in the base, but Kazuya, he's gonna be denying it away from Yue.
Yep, can't do any more than that. Maniacs is all we're getting here at MSC. So close to Savages, but no way to secure that pie. Now, as we look at this game, I think FIMP, unfortunately, yes, that was the correct motion. Cura is looking for that backline, looking to one-shot Owl as quickly as possible. But even then, the trades are so efficient, and with how the early game was actually played by Blacklist International, they maintained their lead. Even if they were at a 2k lead, it would only give them, what, 1,500 gold? Let's look at the replay one more time, because as we see Cura finding the angle on the left side of the map and even getting the flicker out of Owl, he one-shots him, but he's so out of position that there's nothing much they can really do. And as FIMP looking to trade back, they are behind. They are so far behind, in fact.
It's really unfortunate that Beatrix thought that he would be safe within the RWM. And I totally understand, right? You brought down the win condition on the side of Blacklist International. There's not going to be a lot of threat. But one thing that FIMP forgot is the fact that there is a 7k deficit.
And the fact that Yue can just steal the endless shards. You want to burst me? Nah, if I'm ahead, I'm bursting your team.
One shot me, one shot you. Doesn't matter who's gonna go down first. This inhibitor's mine.
An eye for an eye for 2 for a 2. FIMP is ready to defend this as much as they can, as Alien is just gonna be getting shot.
Oh, they can't even defend. Edward! He gets a 2-man stun and Yue follows it up instantly in the back, finding a double kill as RWM comes down to lock Apex 47. Owl, one more shot, but Apex is able to escape. That real world manipulation from Kazuya. That's the only thing that can stop them anyway. He's coming down as he's able to actually immobilize it. But look at the damage coming from Owl, melting down. Apex 47 like it's nothing. Now it's the endless charge, doing nothing to Wise. He walks back up. Cura's looking for a kill right now. He jumps in for the bait. It's a bait, and it's a time journey to lock him up. 11 minutes is all Blacklist needs. First against Todak, now against Fireflux. Impunity.
Great cleanup overall, efficient trades, and the best part, their communication still in tip-top shape. Their baits towards the end. Was that absolutely necessary? Not at all, but they did it anyways.
I gotta have to say, US IMU, that uptime, it constantly coming out, Eternal Shards or RWM, these ultimates are always so crucial to these team fights, and he's not holding on to them. He finds the opportunity, and he's very much ready to unleash them.
The best part is that he wants to maximize the slow of the IMU, just because, hey, you're gonna try and run away, you're trying to camouflage, no problem, slow you down just enough, and then one shot you immediately after.
I know that guy, someone in the crowd. I don't know where I met him before.
Cute, in matter of fact. All right. Overall, Blacklist had a strong game. And I think, especially for FIMP, if they want to start recovering from this, they need to start fixing their early game. Because again, with a crowd of this magnitude supporting Blacklist International, it's very easy for the mental to start showing cracks in your gameplay, similar to RSG versus Burnex Flash.
I gotta have to say, right, when it comes down to FIMP versus Blacklist International just kind of have like this leash onto FIMP. Wherever FIMP tries to be aggressive, they just can't seem to work that out.